What's going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. New York Giants made a pretty big move today. And it kind of came about a half hour ago. Was excited to talk about it with you guys. I'll also be live on Twitter for anybody that follows me at DA Entertainer 85. I've done those live call-in shows before. I don't know how long I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to start a little late, probably around 9 o'clock. Maybe it'll go to 10:30, 11. Talk some New York Giants football, talk offseason, get to talk to some of you guys. And I'll probably be live on the channel tomorrow to kind of recap the NFL in general. Free agency, a lot of you guys asked me to do that today. I figured I wouldn't really go live today, being that I don't think the New York Giants are going to make any huge moves. Last year was, much more action-packed from a New York Giants fan's perspective. But I'll probably go live tomorrow to kind of recap the league, talk about the Giants. Haven't been live in a bit, so looking forward to that. Figure for a couple hours, maybe the midday, 2, 3 o'clock, whatever it may be. So definitely come by for that. But the New York Giants made a pretty big move today, getting Glowinski. Along with that, the Giants did sign 2 wide receivers, one of which you already know with C.J. Board, who was on the team last year. We all know what Board is. He's a guy that's going to come back to be on special teams, and hopefully he can provide, decent play there, but don't expect him to catch a lot of balls. In addition to that, they did sign Robert Foster, who was a former undrafted free agent picked up by the Buffalo Bills, of course, where Joe Schoen is coming from in 2018. He actually had a pretty good first year with the Bills, in which he went for over 550 yards in 2018. 19 and 20, only had about 100 yards combined last year. Didn't see the football field. He's 6'2", 196 pounds. Don't expect much out of him. You got to figure there's going to be a lot of competition at the wide receiver position as well, with Shepard potentially coming back at some point, Galladay, Tony, Slayton. Obviously David Sills signed as well, so there'll be some competition there, but at least stands a chance to make the opening day roster for the New York Giants, especially being that, like I said, he does have ties to the former GM Joe Schoen. But those were minor moves, wasn't even video worthy. Kind of mentioning, worthy, I guess, of mentioning from within a video. The big news is Lewinsky and also Evan Ingram, which I'll talk in further detail about through this video. But the first thing I'll say about Ingram, listen, I know a lot of New York Giants fans couldn't stand him. They couldn't wait to get him out of here. Some Giants fans liked him. Some Giants fans wanted him back, but I think the majority of you guys are happy that he's moved on. And I knew from the start of the offseason that he was not going to be back with the team. We didn't have a lot of money to spend. We couldn't afford to spend it at the tight end spot. He signed a 1-year deal, $9 million guaranteed with the Jacksonville Jaguars, potentially to hit $10 million. From a Jacksonville Jaguars fan's perspective, it's a good move. It's only a 1-year deal. I'm not going to destroy the guy. Do I think he has some potential? Sure. His issues with the Giants, obviously, he was injury prone, and the guy couldn't hold on to the football. And a lot of times when he would make mistakes, it would seem to happen at the most inopportune times. I do think Ingram, a lot of it was mental, and I just don't think it was a good fit in New York. From a Giants fan's perspective, we will get compensated for this due to the fact that we can't spend a whole lot of money this offseason. I don't see us signing any players that are going to offset that $9 or $10 million contract, and the Giants should get a comp pick either in the 4th or 5th round. According to Dan Duggan, expect it to be the 5th. Regardless, we got something. I saw some Giants fans on Twitter saying that we should have traded him from within season last year, and we could have gotten more. It's possible. I don't know what the market was for Evan Ingram, but it's possible. We could have gotten a 3rd or a 4th round pick. I'm not going to kill Joe Schoen for that. He wasn't even here for it. And for all we know, that Joe Judge, may have wanted to keep Ingram. They seem to be good friends. He probably thought at the time he wasn't going to lose his job. It is what it is. Joe Schoen gets a future 4th or probably 5th round pick for Evan Ingram. In addition to that, the New York Giants could potentially be getting more comp picks based off the contracts that some of these players may or may not sign. Guys like Hernandez, guys like Carter, and guys like Peppers. We have to wait and see what their market's going to be out there on the free agency market, but they may get a couple more comp picks for the 2023 draft. The way that works is it's the following draft. So best luck to Ingram. Seemed like a good guy. Just was never going to work out here. Wasn't meant to be. I would have been shocked if Ingram made it through 3 different GMs with the New York Giants. The former 1st round pick will be going to Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Another move that the Jaguars made today, I don't know what your GM was smoking. Christian Kirk, $84 million over 4 years. Now, I know that not all of it's guaranteed, but regardless, when you see that dollar amount, $21 million a year on average for a guy that's never surpassed 1,000 yards receiving and over 6 touchdowns in a single season, it blows my mind what the Jaguars are willing to spend for Kirk. Best of luck. I suppose you're trying to help out your quarterback as best you can. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that the Jaguars and Jets have done and how it may potentially impact the New York Giants draft pick at 5th overall in a good way, at least in my opinion. But let's jump into the newly acquired offensive lineman for the New York Giants. Mark Glowinski. According to Pro Football Focus, Glowinski allowed 38 total pressures but just 2 sacks on 476 pass blocking snaps during the 2021 season. Glowinski, like I said, had a PFF grade of 70, between, I think it was 67 and 70 each of the last 2 years. He's been a full-time starter with the Indianapolis Colts, one of the better pass blocking units in the NFL during that time span. Where Glowinski thrives is actually in run blocking. He is known to be a very good run blocker. Pass protection from time to time, at least from what I've read, is not the best, but he's a very good run blocker, and regardless, is a much-needed upgrade for the Giants. The other thing that you have to like about him, he's durable. He hasn't missed a game each of the last 3 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and I think he's from West Virginia. He's about 6'5", 305 pounds. Giants needed help on the interior offensive line, and Glowinski should certainly provide that to the football team. This coming out from Ian Rappaport in terms of the contract. I think the contract's a slam dunk. I think it's a great job here by Joe Schoen. You didn't spend too much money. You got a starting caliber offensive lineman, fairly comparable to the contract I think that probably Kevin Zeitler signed last year. So a good move here by the New York Giants. Former Colts offensive lineman Mark Glowinski has agreed to terms with the Giants. He gets 3 years, $20 million, 11.4 fully guaranteed. So I would assume, without seeing the specifics of the contract, they could probably get out after 2 years if he regresses in play or if he, sustains injuries, so on and so forth. But at a bare minimum, Glowinski should do for the Giants kind of what Zeitler did at a bare minimum. Provide as a 2, potentially 3-year stopgap at the position until such time you find your long-term answer. So I think it's a good move for the Giants. Fills a much-needed hole for the football team. New York Giants guard Mark Glowinski, 70.1 PFF grade, ranked 21 out of 80 eligible guards this past season. That coming out from Will Presti. I also read several articles in which, like I said earlier, people talked about how he excels in the run blocking department. The Colts, Jonathan Taylor killed it in terms of run blocking. An article that I read, I think was from 19 or 20, in which they ranked 4th in terms of run blocking overall, and they pointed out how Glowinski had a lot to do with it. So happy he's aboard with the New York Giants. I think it's a really good move. The other thing I wanted to talk about, at least briefly, was some of the things that happened today from, on other rosters, how it may potentially impact the New York Giants first-round pick at 5th overall. Art Stapleton, I thought, brought up a really good point. This is what he had to say. Both the Jaguars at number 1 and the New York Jets at number 4 have lured big deals for offensive linemen, Scherf and Tomlinson, both of whom are guards, which I saw a lot of people in the comments say that they're guards, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of them not taking a tackle, which is a fair point. Later goes on to say the Jaguars also tagged Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson, of course, the left tackle from last year's team. Aquanu and Evan Neal, watch for the Giants, Lloyd Christmas. But what I will say, and where I kind of agree with Art, is both of those teams have put a ton of draft capital and financial commitment via free agency to the offensive line, and it would lead me to believe, the Jets have taken a first-round lineman each of the last 2 drafts. Now they go out there and probably spend as much money on a guard as anybody in free agency this year. They're probably going to look to attack somewhere else. And as a Giants fan, if that is the case, that is music to my ears. Most people would tell you there's 2 prominent names on the offensive line at the tackle position in this year's draft. That, of course, being Aquanu and Neal, the 2 people that Art pointed to in that tweet. And if either one of them falls to 5, I'm going to be doing cartwheels as a New York Giants fan, as long as we draft one. I'd be thrilled. You'd be able to have your 2 bookend tackles for years to come between Neal and Aquanu and Andrew Thomas. So hopefully that is the case, and I think today did nothing but at least help that become a possibility. I don't think the Lions are going to take a tackle. They took one last year, 6th or 7th overall, wherever they were picking. Houston, I think, more than likely will, depending on who's available. But if the Jaguars go edge rusher, then the first team that I could see taking the second tackle would be the Jets at 4th overall. And if they don't, which I don't think they will, based off the fact they signed Laken Tomlinson today, it would mean either Neal or Aquanu would stand a good chance to fall in the New York Giants' lap at 5th overall. So I wanted to talk about that, how free agency may have impacted who the Giants may be able to snag at 5th overall. But regardless, I think it's a good day to be a Giants fan, a cost-effective signing. Are we going to win a lot of games next year? Probably not, but it was something we needed to address, and we did so with a very good contract. Still relatively young at 29 years old, and like I said, hopefully he can provide good guard play for the Giants for the next couple of years, and we'll have to wait and see what they're able to do with this offensive line. Regardless, good move. You have to figure Andrew Thomas is only going to get better, and you have to figure that the Giants are only going to continue to try to address this offensive line here throughout free agency and the draft. Giants still probably have to sign a tight end, certainly have to draft one as well. Ingram now gone, Rudolph now gone, Caden Smith now gone. We don't have tight ends, so expect the Giants probably to sign a tight end and definitely draft one as well, and we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.